Hello. Hi, DreamCon.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. I know we're black in here. They need some call and response. Hello, DreamCon. Hi. If you're here for the Why Do We Cling to Fandoms panel, you're in the right place. If you're not, you should still stay because these are going to be really fun. Misogynoir and Multiverses, A Black Girl's Guide to Fandom Culture is the title that you're seeing up here because that is the title of my forthcoming book.
Snaps for the book. Snaps for the book, please.
Thank you. Snaps for the book. This is my second year presenting at DreamCon. I was joined by Ariane last year. It was incredible. She's being a soundboard. We're really excited we're getting to just be back here and getting to focus on another portion of the book. I'm going to talk about more of the book later, but we're going to get some intros in. Ariane, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. My name is Ariane Daly. It's like Beyonce, but different. I'm a Florida-raised but Texas-based social media producer, journalist, romance book enthusiast, and artist. And I've worked in several newsrooms like the Washington Post, the Boston Globe, but right now I am new to Houston. I'm working at the Houston Chronicle. And I've covered a lot of different stories like body politics, pop culture, labor, and what else? Food insecurity. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ailani Brown. This is my first time doing a panel. Give me grace. I should take a shot before I got here. Everybody looks so nice. Okay, so I'm also Florida raised and Texas based. I'm in Dallas, shout out to Dallas, and I am a content creator and social media manager / graphic designer / brand strategist. If you need help with your socials, you can contact me after the panel. But I currently work at Therapy for Black Girls. Is anyone familiar with the platform? Yeah, okay, period. We focus a lot on Black women and femmes' mental health and wellness. And previously, I was creative director at HBCU Buzz. I don't know if we have any HBCU alums in the room, but the work I do has always just surrounded Black people and our wellness. So I'm excited to talk to you guys.
Yay! Hey, okay, and I am Noella, dressed in this little princess peach fit right here. I am based in Brooklyn. I'm a culture writer. I write about a lot of things from Black culture to queer identity to pop culture, veganism, music, just a lot. I also identify as a socialist, and I write for a socialist feminist magazine called Lux. They're responsible, or they, I'm talking about myself while I'm reading my bio. I guess they, yeah, my pronouns are she, they, so correct. But I organized the multi-state campus tour for tying like feminism, gender, and politics together at Lux to kind of help college students understand how fascism is really going to be affecting higher ed on the faculty, but also the student level right now. So this panel is like just a segment of the book and just making sure a lot of advocacy is going into spaces like DreamCon. I've gone to some pretty awesome panels today, so I hope y'all enjoy what we have got for y'all. So just to intro a little about the book, it's called Misogynoir and Multiverses, A Black Girl's Guide to Fandom Culture. This nonfiction essay collection is going to be essentially targeting the racism and sexism directed towards Black women, femmes, in science fiction, superhero fiction, and fantasy communities. It's a book that I had the idea for maybe in 2022 after being a nerd for like over a decade, and I was kind of like, okay, I'm getting into my journalist bag now, like how do I want to think of myself in a couple years? And it was like my research growing interest was fandoms, so I always wanted to go to cons like this, and keeping that in mind, I thought of chapters such as the chapter we're presenting today, which is like why do we cling to fandoms, but also other chapters include a lot of the stereotypes that Black women, Black girls are subjected to in a lot of this media, talking all about Black vampires. Last year I was like, we were having a Sinners off and seeing how many people watched Sinners. I might have won it.
She won.
And so, there's a whole chapter dedicated to Black vampires as well. And so, being a Black organizer from the South, and we all met because we went to Florida A&M in Tallahassee, And I tell people all the time, you learn a lot about politics when you are Black attending a HBCU in the state, in the capital of a state that is undergoing like a lot of political repression right now. So learning about just like Black feminism and queer theory and a lot of that also led to this book. As well as everyone, does anyone want to shout out someone that they see on here? Yes. Oh, is anyone watching? I didn't get a chance to put Sheila and team on here. I will be talking about the vampire Lestat, but I do need to put her on here. So a lot of the inspiration behind Eminem came from just feeling very out of place in being a nerd, and like I know it's something I've gotten to talk to these two about, so I guess I would kind of like to open up the floor first before we tell you all about how we're blurreds. Who in here identifies as a blurred? Raise your hand. Okay, well good, I hope so, because y'all are at the blurred convention. I guess my next question would be, I should have my notes a little closer. Okay, there it is. How many of y'all have ever also felt other when you're in a fandom when it comes to like maybe it's a primarily white fandom? Okay, how about maybe you felt other when there are other Black people or people of color in the fandom, but you still, have a different identity, such as being disabled or being queer? Yeah, these intersections are a really big focus of my book because I think a lot of people underestimate how many Black people have an interest in science fiction, fantasy, and superhero fiction. We're going to get into it, but it's very visible with how there is demand for more movies like Sinners, even though, I'm sure y'all saw the headlines. They're not trying to give us more Black rom-coms. They really aren't. They were like, well, your ass better have shown up to see Halle Bailey because that's the last one you're going to get. And I want to take it away to Ariane to tell me more about like what's going on.
I'll be humping my book. No, I'm kidding.
Yes. I want to hear all about like where your blurred identity comes from when it comes to fiction books, because you have a lot there. I love tuning into her stories that are talking about fan cast and like fiction book reviews.
Yeah. So, is anyone here like a romance book reader, or like does anyone like smut?
Raise those hands, don't be afraid. We're after our panel, okay?
Okay. I only read books if they're physically touching each other. I want them to kiss. But no, I remember hanging out with Aolani a lot in Dallas and some of our other friends, and they read books, but I remember I yelled at them and I was like, I don't read! I don't fucking read! But then I was on Pinterest and I found this romance book called The Neighbor Faber by Christina Forrest. I love that book and I recommend that author, Christina Forrest. And I read it and it woke me up and I was like, oh my God. And fiction, why we cling to fandoms, again, I think to open it up more is it's escapism. It's like a world where it's a world that does exist but also doesn't, and there are outcomes that we might not be able to experience in our real life. And so reading fiction books was so much fun. I told Noella a joke how I'd be humping my books because I'm very serious about the smut. Like people try to recommend me self-help books. I'm like, okay, are they having sex in the self-help books? No shade. Like, I want
self. How are they helping?
Okay. I want passion. I want kissing. I want the romance. I want the catering. I want the love song of a book. And so that kind of happened, and then that blossomed into me doing book castings. And I don't know if y'all have seen that on Pinterest, or maybe back in the Wattpad days, they would do like boards of people that you would imagine in these books. But now I do that for the romance books I read. So that's been really exciting. That's kind of my it's not my introduction into blurredom, I guess, but that's what we're here to talk about. So that's my little tidbit. What about you, Aolani?
Let's hear your fandom perspective.
To be completely honest, I'm more of a nerd in the traditional sense. So growing up with really niche interests, I love rocks. I like rocks. I like bugs. I was an Animal Planet Nat Geo girl, but I wasn't super into anime. Can I take it to nostalgia?
Let's do it.
Okay, so if I belong to a fandom, my fandom would be nostalgia, because I'm always talking about online games. I love online games, especially the ones that I played growing up. Like, all of my time was spent on like Club Penguin, Habbo Hotel, Vantage, Maple Story, Toontown. I was playing all those games. Those are my communities. And Maple Story is still alive. Toontown is still alive. These places exist, and if you go on them, you'll see it's other 26-year-olds trying to relive the feeling that we got as kids. So my nerddom is in that sense. I'm not much into anime. I tried to watch One Piece. I'm 4 episodes in, and I'm not going any further.
Should she keep going?
Should I watch
They're getting our tomatoes. We're twitching. They're getting the tomatoes and they're pointing them at
I will say that I did start JJK. My boyfriend right here, he got me into that. Like, I love JJK. I love Chainsaw Man, Kakigurui. I love that. You know, I love a nice horny anime. I want them to be moaning.
Me too.
That's my age. But yeah, I'll say my nerddom is more so like in the nostalgia of it all. That's where I find a lot of peace. And when it comes to fandoms, I feel like that's truly why, like for me, why I cling to them. That escapism that comes from finding a community outside of your real life. Especially when you are othered and when you do feel either marginalized or excluded, it's like you can find so much peace in those types of communities, and that's where I came from growing up. So that's my nerddom.
Oh my gosh, okay, so you can be a nerd in any way. These are things we know. I feel like one of the like intros to being a geek or a nerd is like someone that's really into math, and you know, I didn't get that type of neurodivergence. Like instead mine was more like when I was younger, I was noticing I was doing a lot of daydreaming, not disassociating, not paying attention. It was also stemming from not feeling like I was not appreciated, but just feeling, you know, the otherness of when you're Black and have to do double consciousness, but you're also like a young person. Like I was at a predominantly white Christian school in the Panhandle of Florida, so just complete, very not secular life I had to bring into this. Like it's hard because I was appreciating these shows at home. Shows like my intro to nerd was Static Shock and X-Men Evolution being like two of my favorite pieces of media as a kid, and then, you know, not really knowing that was my fandom at a first place, but it's not like I could talk to people about it. So I kind of like festered it all in, got obsessed with vampires along the way and superheroes and Tumblr, and it led me to here. And, you know, as a journalist, as a writer, I've just been thinking about, so what does that mean as I'm trying to get back in touch with myself from 16 years old, 15, being on Tumblr and like turning it into a book? Well, it does mean being obsessed with shows and not letting the fandom urge in me die, which is why I've had this picture of Louis and Claudia from Interview with the Vampire that I can stare at, because it's one of my favorite shows right now, and being in the fandom on the cesspool of X or on Threads or TikTok, or just following other Black people that are talking about the show is making me feel really not isolated in a moment where, is anyone watching Interview with the Vampire / The Vampire List out right now? Wow. I just want to tell y'all, like, best show on television right now.
Are they having sex?
Oh, they're having a lot of sex. Lestat is always hot. That's community deep. It isn't a vampire show if they're not fucking, exactly. And I think Interview with the Vampire is exceptional, specifically season 1, because it's very Black and queer. It's set in New Orleans. Like, Louis Dupont-Dulac is played by Jacob Anderson. I'm not gonna sit here and tell y'all about how great the show is, but I do have to do it. Like, AMC programmed something in my head during the first season. Do you wanna say something? 100% better than the movie. They had Tom and Brad queerbaiting in the early 2000s, and I don't need to see that when I have like Louis and Lestat. So, you know, that brings me to just thinking about how, you know, we have fandoms now. We're also maybe a little older and kind of realize, oh, why is there more representation like on the screen from when I was a kid, but meanwhile now, like, these are headlines we're seeing not even a month ago, y'all. And, you know, The Hollywood Reporter has definitely had some instances along with Variety where they've had some very questionable headlines that are written by very questionable people, some that were attacking sinners, if anyone remembers that from last year. And so, I'm not going to be looking to them, but entertainment journalism is not in a great spot right now. And so when we get these articles from someone that has a bigger platform like the Hollywood Reporter, it's sounding off an alarm to things we already knew. And this isn't the only headline, but I'm also thinking about capital B, but I just want to come to this one real quick. For Teen Vogue, there is an article I love to talk about during these panels from my friend Ayan, and she wrote about Where the Black Girls in new YA shows and movies. And she wrote this, if you look at the date, September 4th, 2024. Has anyone seen the Cheetah Girls casting? This is bringing us back to the question, where are the black girls in new YA shows and movies? Because that's sincerely a problem just based on, what we grew up with, seeing the Cheetah Girls. And it's not just there. I don't know if anyone has noticed all of the young adult shows, such as Adults on FX, or what's on Prime Video? What's the one on Prime? I'm forgetting the name of it. There's Adults, then there's Mindy Kaling's new show, Not Safe for Work, I think, and there's no black women in the main cast of an ensemble that takes place in a big city, which, as someone who lives in New York and all of my friends are mostly people of color, I don't really understand how someone expects that to feel realistic. And before I throw it to y'all, I would love to just also point out that this isn't just happening on the TV screens. This is also happening when it comes to book adaptations. And Capital B had a great article that just came out also less than a month ago, just talking about what happens when we're also seeing less book adaptations get film and TV show adaptations as well. And it's just unfortunate because in this case, Ladarian was being interviewed about a Harry Potter series, something that was magical realism that's set at HBCU. And further in the article, I highly recommend reading it because it was talking about a Black queer show about Black gay men that were just living in the city, having fun, the ensemble shows we do not get when it comes to marginalized groups, and how he was being put through developmental hell. And I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with that term, but it's what happens when black shows can get greenlit, black movies are greenlit, these independent projects are funded, they are suddenly thrown into development hell where they probably don't live to see the day. Can anyone think of one? There are so many. Legendborn. Blade, oh my god, don't get me started. Tiana, the Tiana show, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they literally are throwing it back and forth, and I don't know, what's going on?
The Proud Family only got 4 seasons.
It got canceled?
I think they said it's going to be the final season. They can give us more.
That's the thing, I feel like they...
Okay.
The IP machine never runs low when it comes to black independent work. It's unfortunate. What's going on in Lovecraft Country? Gosh, there's been so many. If we want to talk about canceled shows, I have to start with the Gen V Memoriam because I miss my girl, Marie Moreau. I know, London, what is it saying? London, I know how it felt to lose your queen.
London, I know how you feel. I lost my queen too.
Ariane, could you tell me what's going on in the book world when it comes to black authors? What's tea over there?
Well, you might be asking the wrong person because all I read is black books and they seem to be fine and serving me well.
So it seems like there could be TV shows and movies being made.
Absolutely. I would say yes. There's always going to be more room for black people. I remember, I actually can't remember where I was, but we were talking about something and someone was like, there's never enough black people. You might feel like something is oversaturated, but someone was like, there's never enough black people, trust me, as someone who's higher up. But I also have the controversial opinion of some stuff really is just better on paper. Sometimes I can't think of an example and maybe y'all can call some out, but sometimes there are books or literature that gets turned into a show and everyone's always like, the book is so much better. Sometimes the fantasy might need to stay on the page because it's just better. The author might have full control. And also visually, what's the lady name? The Blood and the Bone, the
Tommy?
Yeah, that lady. Yes, what's the name of the book though? Children of Blood and Bone, right? In that controversy where they classed Miss Light Skin, and everyone was like, you get what I'm saying? That's what I mean by like sometimes there should be more of an effort to make the book match the visuals when it comes to television and shows and animation. But yeah, sometimes it's just like it's better on the page. Like the character was dark skinned, let's keep her dark skinned. I do not want to see no biracial.
Like black is night.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So that's my thing. But the book world is treating me good. and I will also say, I know that in this space and in this panel, we're talking about sort of like being othered or marginalized. But I will say from my experience with fandoms, I think I've just been like lucky and blessed to be surrounded by Black culture my entire life, going to a fully Black elementary school, middle school. The white people were the others, where I come from. And so that just kind of like bled into my fandom. My first fandom I ever joined was The Weeknd. Like Abel Tesfaye, I have XO tatted all over my body actually. But when I joined that fandom, like it was multicultural, and the same thing with Party Next Door. Before Twitter became a rancid place on the internet, I found other Party Next Door fans, and we begged and begged and begged Party Next Door to follow us until we put him in a group chat, and that ended up me talking to him for like 5 years. Like I originally wanted to be a music journalist, and so for me, my blurredom, I really think originally started with music, and so I was like, talk to me, Party Next Door, and he did talk to me a few times. I got my questions answered, but I've really only had good experiences with fandoms, so just a little light to shine in the room, but yeah.
So, Aolani, I have this huge question for you.
Yeah.
Why do we cling to fandoms? Can you tell me from some perspective based on therapy for Black girls and working there, and what it's like to
Mentally. Yeah.
What it's like to mentally.
Okay.
Right before I touch on that, can we touch about Black
Can we touch?
representation? Can we touch on Black representation in video games? Because I will say that is another one of my little fandoms. Finding a lot of comfort, especially lately with video games. Through my work, I do a lot of focus on different forms of self-care, and video games are definitely one of them.
Mm-hmm.
One thing for me, okay, so I want to be a gym girly. Something about me, I want to be a gym girly, but I put on my gym outfit and I look at myself and I'm like, body's tea, I don't need the gym. But whenever I don't feel the urge, like the motivation to go to the gym, I end up finding myself playing like Dance Central. Like I'm such a dance video game girl. I love Just Dance, Dance Central, Black Eyed Peas experience. And one thing I will say is, I grew up on Just Dance, and I always felt like this is not Black enough. Like they don't have enough Black songs, there's not enough hip hop, not enough R&B on Just Dance. Exactly. And then I experienced Dance Central and I was like, wait, this is Black as hell. Like this is what I was looking for, the dance moves were good. And then I went even further, just recently discovered another game called Hip Hop Dance Experience, which I think is better than Dance Central and Just Dance. Been playing it like crazy, has like all the original hip hop dance moves. It's amazing, and it's like Hip Hop Dance Experience. One game, I found it for $6 at the store. Just Dance, there's 12 of them. And it's like, okay, we have enough Just Dance. Like, give us some more, you know? Yeah. And then I will say, I also, anybody like Sims? Any Sims people? Okay, that's also why the Sims, that's why the Sims community is so important to me, because I feel like you will find so much Black representation in that custom content. You know, and I don't know if anybody's heard of the video game Loftia that's coming out. It's like a mix of Animal Crossing and Sims. Super cool. They've been putting a lot of focus into making sure that there's like Black hairstyles, different skin tones, all types of stuff. And I'm like, that's what we need. So my thing about a lack of representation is in the video games, and I'm looking for more of that. But to answer your question about why we cling to fandoms, similar to what I said earlier, for a form of escapism and community. So as humans, we're really interdependent. Like we depend on one another a lot. And when you are not getting that satisfaction that you need from social interaction in your real life, you turn to your fandoms online and on the computer. And it's like gotten so much more intense with the way that Twitter and Instagram are now. You can interact with fandoms in a whole different way. You can talk to your celebrities and your heroes like directly in the DMs. You can talk to Party Next Door in the DMs. Fandoms are serving that purpose, and fandoms also tell us a lot about ourselves and what we need and what we desire from our like intersocial relationships with others. So.
Oh, I have one more thing. Before we move on to the next thing, talking about why do we cling to fandoms, I do want to take a quick break and say, is anyone watching Love Island? Everyone? I think Love Island is a really good example of why we cling to fandoms and representation. I would say, in my personal opinion, I don't think the show reached the level that it did without Serena and Janae. Like, having like black girls on reality TV be popping like that and like shift a show like that was really important. And so like just recently in the last like 2.5 years, I would say the Love Island fandom has gone crazy because of the black girls on there. We want to see black girls on TV. We want to see dark skin on TV. And so Love Island season 6, the season that Serena was on, it got more attention than the election. Because on Love Island, democracy matters, and black girls watch TV, and so we're going to vote for the black girl to win, and that's exactly what happened. And even though Alandria didn't win, and I think that was white America, you know, it was very much giving Trump's America, but Alandria is more popping than Amaya, no shade, or anybody, you get what I'm saying? Like, we needed Alandria, America needed Alandria, you get what I'm saying? So yeah. I stopped watching, so that's why I'm asking y'all. I don't want to start a fight in here. I'm always team black girl, but I don't want to start a fight in here. So we just gonna see who the winner is, and hopefully it is another black girl. We taking black women to the top. Huh? Period. We're taking black girls to the top. The black person is gonna win. Amen. Amen. I forgot I was in a room full of black people. Amen. You say it back.
You know, so with thinking about how fandoms like, you know, go from reality TV shows to video games to us talking about, you know, you see my stuff back here. I was fully in the Marvel fandom. Like, I took the red pill. It was in my body for many, many years. And sophomore year of high school is when I took that picture with Bucky Barnes' shield, or sorry, that's Captain America's shield from the Winter Soldier. I'm a Bucky Barnes girl. I'm like a Styles girl, Loki girl. I don't play about my one-off character, an anti-hero or something. So fandom started like a long time ago for me, and it's always been like a safe space. I was tweeting a lot about fandoms, clearly back in the day in 2014, and I still find myself, you know, writing a whole book about fandoms. So I have to honor the holy trio.
Where are the Wattpad warriors? Are there any in here? Amen. Wattpad warrior.
Yeah, who was on fan fiction then?
Oh, call out some of y'all favorite fan fictions. Like, who are y'all reading on Wattpad? Star Trek. That's an interesting one. What you say? Sleep Token. Okay, what about you?
Oh, okay. Yes, I was also into.
Yes, what about you? Who? Oh, okay, nice. What about you? Got you. Oh, Morgan? Mindless behavior. Thank you. I was reading Drake fan fictions before before BK, before Kendrick. I love Drake, right? And I was reading the Drake fan fictions were the best. Like, I just like float on a cloud. Now I'm too grown for the Drake fan fictions, but when I was 13, they was hitting. Yeah. Oh, shut up. He's talking about I wonder why.
You know, I was telling them earlier, I was reading like a crack ship. Does anyone know what a crack ship is? Okay, so a crack ship, I might be bullshitting this definition, but it's a ship between two people who do not live in the same universe, would probably never interact. Yeah, so I was reading Cardi B Tony Stark fanfic today. It was crazy.
Wait, I'm sorry, I have to say this before it leaves my mind. There was like a Nicki Minaj and Tom Holland crack ship on TikTok.
It's the most popular one. on, because it bridged the gap from TikTok to Twitter.
Yes.
And there were pictures of Tom and Nick
with a baby and everything. Yes.
Oh my gosh, yes, the OG. That's the stuff that was coming straight from Tumblr into my brain.
It's I'm starting a rumor.
Yes. I definitely dabble in some Beyonce, Jensen Ackles crack shit too. Beyonce.
What the hell?
Pride Month is over. Let's put the Beyonce Kamala Harris.
This is not a crack ship. This is a meth ship.
So you know,
That's insane.
this holy trio takes us to thinking about things Afrofuturist, just these concepts of like, okay, I'm daydreaming, I'm reading fan fiction because life can be better. I mean, life is. It's scary out there, so I understand why it's easier. It's scary out there. That's why I understand. Go ahead. So, I understand why
Our version of life being better is Beyonce and like Jensen Ackles. Beyonce and Kamala Harris. Yes. In the context of everything that came before. Exactly.
it should never.
We have too many inside jokes up here. Y'all have no idea what we're talking about.
What I'm trying to get to is that with fan fiction, it's kind of, led me to thinking about there can be a better world out there. What does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting here thinking about Wakanda, of course, because that was one of the first times I was thinking, okay, they're also thinking a lot about energy and hopefully sustainability. I haven't gotten that far to learn about a lot of environmental things that writers could have written about in the comics about Wakanda. Something I would love to explore, but I think that when it comes to there thinking about this very rich and protected place for Black people, I'm also thinking about Genosha as I was watching X-Men 97 and thinking about how, Magneto and Professor X literally had these statues here. Before this really devastating episode, it was like bringing tears to my eyes to get to see mutants that were just living very freely in Genosha, and it also just has me thinking as an organizer. Okay, I won't get to club shop yet. It has me thinking, as someone who's done grassroots organizing, how can I take this, escapism and this drive for wanting to have a better world, have maybe the book that makes people think I was pushed into fandoms because I felt loneliness and I wanted some kind of belonging, but it has made me into a community organizer in terms of things in the gaming sector, or maybe it's through advocacy for children. And I think that's one way, you can take the good side of fandoms, which we're about to talk about the not so good side, and then I'll bring it back to things you can do in communities. So
do you go ahead.
Do it.
The talk about ideas of a better world in fandoms has me thinking about the time that we spent in quarantine during COVID and how I feel like a lot of us lean on fandoms. So I did want to ask you guys, what fandoms do you feel like you either joined or your connection to strengthened during your quarantine time? Avatar Legends.
Legends.
It's not really a fandom, but just TikTok in general.
TikTok. Oh,
Forming community on TikTok.
Yeah, let's talk about parasociality actually.
Oh,
I have Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing, visiting islands.
Yeah.
MHA.
My Hero.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do have one more thing to follow up. When Noella was talking about grassroots. Were you gonna make a joke?
No.
Okay.
Not this time.
I do have one more thing to say. I am a huge AI hater. Huge.
We hate generative
Huge
AI.
AI.
They turned my mic off.
And if you follow me on Instagram, I'm constantly fucking ranting about AI because, not to invoke her precious name, but I really do think about Harriet Tubman and Martin Luther King, and I'm gonna loop this around so it makes sense, I promise. But when we talk about blurs, when we talk about fantasy and escapism and these things that we look to bring us joy when times are hard or when the outside world just really isn't giving, I think it's important to value your imagination and those things like Wakanda, like imagining a better world for yourself, because it really does. All it takes is a little bit of imagination. And so I think about Martin Luther King, how, you know, he was living through Jim Crow. He was living through a time where you had to drink out of a different fucking water fountain. Like, niggas don't tell you what water you can and can't drink. Like, that's crazy. And he had to sit there and imagine and be like, well, what if it wasn't like this? You get what I'm saying? And Harriet Tubman, when she was, you know, helping people escape, she had to think about, like, what if we didn't have to live like this? Or like, what if I came up with a better plan? You get what I'm saying? So never take your imagination and never take your blurdom and your escapism for granted. So, yeah.
So I want to go to the not so pretty side of fandom. How much time do we have to talk about parasociality? Let's try 10 minutes. So speed run. Club Chalamet, formerly known as Simone Cromer, formerly known as Club Chalamet. I don't know how to give a brief description of her. I feel like you got it, Ariana, better than me. But.
Basically, she's a woman who loves Timothy Chalamet and is even obsessed and will follow him around the world, promote his movies, promote anything he has going on in a very extravagant and kind of like intelligent way. Like, she's a very educated woman, but it's kind of scary because she's older, she has money, she can just follow Timothy Chalamet across the world. But she's kind of made some like alarming comments regarding Timothy Chalamet's choices, like going with Kylie Jenner and different things that he's done that she doesn't really like, and it's kind of like, whoa, what the hell you doing, you know? But I do have a controversial opinion.
Exclusive scoop here.
I'm gonna say the bad thing. I think Club Chalamet, formerly known as Club Chalamet, because she switched fandoms now. Now she's a Connor Story. I think Club Chalamet is perhaps a little more harmless than the other parasocial relationships we've seen. Like, she's a rich woman. Like, she stays within, in my opinion, a safe distance from Timothy Chalamet. Like, yeah, she follows him around the world, but like, he has security. She's behind the rope. You know, if you saw your favorite celebrity, you'd want a selfie too. And recently, I'm kind of defending her because she was attacked by some crazy fucking French lady. Like, how? Like, first of all, Timothy Chalamet is like God when it comes to like insane parasocial relationships, right? You got Club Chalamet at the top. To be a white French woman to then recognize Club Chalamet and beat her ass is crazy. And you're talking about, oh, I beat her ass. But what are you doing? You at the same damn Timothy Chalamet line as she is. And why you y'all see how old this lady is, right? What you doing beating her ass like that? Like, this is an old lady. She's retired. Why are you putting your hands on her?
The bob and all.
You know what I'm saying? But my controversial opinion is that I do think Club Chalamet is perhaps more, I think she's like less harmful than other parasocial relationships. Like that one guy who was in Miranda Cosgrove's home and like did some weird shit. I don't know.
I think if we're going to talk about unhealthy fandoms and parasocial relationships, unfortunately, we have to address the barbs. So, I'm sorry, I'm using a barbs group. I'm a former Nicki Minaj.
As a former
I
barb.
know every Nicki Minaj feature up until 2012. I do. But a lot of the enabling and the lack of accountability that you see from the extreme barbs, it's a problem, and it makes us wonder, like, what is the line? Like, where do you draw your line? Nikki doesn't know you. She doesn't see your tweets, but it's like she might. I don't know if she's crazy, but it's like it's concerning, and I feel like that's a prime example of like one of the nasty.
It's like when you put celebrities before yourself and you solely make decisions based on the celebrity.
Yeah.
Because really at the end of the day, these celebrities don't know you. I told y'all earlier that I DM'd Party Next Door and I was really talking to him about music. But once I got of age to where I could date Party Next Door, like once I was of age, I was like, I'm a grown ass woman. Let me back up a little bit, you know, like let me not be like this crazy lady in his DMs because like don't need to do that. Like just dial it back a little bit. And so I think when people are making life decisions or really just getting irate over opinions. Like, it was one time where me and my friend, we were talking about Asian doll. First of all, I didn't know Asian doll had shooters. I didn't know she had shooters. And this young lady came in my friend's mentions, and we was cussing her ass out. And then she told us she was 15. And it's like, young lady, what are you doing here? Why are you an Asian doll shooter arguing with me? And me and my friend were like, oh, hell no, we gotta back off. Like, what are you doing here, little girl? Like, stay in your lane. You get what I'm saying? Because you don't know who you're dealing with. Because I might have shooters too. So, like, back up. But, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been in a fight with a 15-year-old, but I was. I can't say I relate, but I've definitely dealt with some parasocial fans on a different way of like when what I could call them as nigcels, like literally black incels. I'll keep the story short, but I ended up with a TikTok of mine about Chris Evans.
That cunt.
About him.
That cunt.
Yes.
That cunt.
Someone
I don't like her.
my video from Tumblr or from TikTok to Twitter. It went viral. That is never a good thing when your video goes viral on Twitter. And I had some very crazy things in my Twitter DMs, and it really was like very off-putting whenever I was like online making a lot of videos on TikTok around the time of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I mean, that really made me want to take a step back, because who do you think you're talking to? But also I'm a Pisces, so I'm really sensitive, and I just like, I'm like, I don't want to post now. You guys made me all self-conscious.
No, she was dead ass wrong. That girl, because Noella's my friend in real life. We're all real besties in real life, so we're not just up here faking it. But Noella was talking about Marvel, right? Christopher Jamal Evans. And so also that's another thing I hate too. I hate when people cross post without consent, because on TikTok the fandom found Noella and it's like, oh yeah, like yada yada. You get what I'm saying? Like they're fucking with it. But then some random takes it to Twitter, and Twitter is a hellhole. And so now everyone thinks she's anti-black or a weirdo, and like just straight up bullying my girl over here. And we're telling her, bitch, take that down. Like you're missing the context. Like you actually did fall out of a coconut tree, bitch. Like don't do that. You get what I'm saying? Don't do that to people. I feel like the only time you should be, and I'm a social media producer at the Houston Chronicle, so I know audience. I feel like the only time you should be cross-posting is when you're uplifting. If you're punching down on someone that's inappropriate, that's wrong, and that sets someone up for a different audience to where they could get ridiculed or bullied in a way they did not, and no one intends to be bullied, but you get what I'm saying? TikTok knows what she's talking about and Twitter doesn't. And so, please don't do that to people.
Earlier when I asked what fandoms y'all joined during COVID, somebody mentioned TikTok. And while TikTok is not a fandom, I get it. And I feel like Twitter almost could be considered like a fandom.
Yes.
The way the communities join on these platforms and the validation that people look for and the content that they post. Someone will take something from TikTok and put it on Twitter knowing that someone is going to get cyberbullied just for the validation and for the likes and the clicks. So
yeah.
So
Threads too.
yes, Threads.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there. I've actually been on there.
And Facebook. I don't know if y'all go on Facebook.
No, I stay off Facebook.
No,
Too much AI. Why do we say the same thing? No, it's fuck. Like, no.
So I do want to ask you one thing, because I know Therapy for Black Girls just had an episode about parasocial relationships out. Could you tell us just like a little bit or why people should give it a listen before we wrap it up and throw it to Q&A?
I think, for one, pubbing Therapy for Black Girls, femme, also Black men. We post really good content. We have a directory with over 6,000 Black female therapists all across the country. Some offer pro bono sessions, so if you need like assistance, things like that. But we have a podcast available wherever you listen to your podcast. Lots of sessions with mental health experts and just people across the online sphere in different industries and whatnot. But that episode I think is important to give a listen to if you're somebody that's involved in fandoms. It'll help you we were talking about the dark sides of fandoms. Uplifting fandoms, of course, but it can help you take a step back and objectively look at fandoms and how you engage with these communities. Because while it is, they serve their place and it's purposeful and useful, it also is important to engage in your relationships outside of your fandoms, and examine why you feel so strongly and so connected to these different characters and your media and whatnot. So there's a really cool mental health professional in there that gets all into the parasociality of it all, as well as escapism. And then I want to put another episode called Nostalgia as a Tool for Anxiety, because as I mentioned, that's like my thing. I love my old media, old shows, old video games, and there's lots of really good self-help tools on there about how you can utilize things you've already seen or watched as a tool to bring yourself to a place of peace. So that's why I think you guys should check it out.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Therapy for Black Girls. Also, I think they're also a great resource. So before we throw into Q&A, I know I mentioned this question earlier, so I just want to also encourage if anyone wants to share a moment they've experienced offline about or offline and learning about community through fandoms, whether it's like a book club or film club. My friends and I go to AMC. We are all A-listers, so we don't play about our 10 of us rolling into a movie. That is my fandoms, honestly. But I wanted to open that up before Q&A if anyone wanted to ask anything.
I will bring the mic to you if you have any questions.
I know it's late, guys. Please. I love questions.
And then I'll come back to you.
Thank you.
I apologize if this is a little bit obvious, but I guess one thing I want to start off with is I actually had this question for y'all. How are you defining fandoms? Because one of the answers that somebody gave earlier, it wasn't just TikTok, there was a couple other ones, but it got me thinking, like, even for me, the way I wanted to answer the question was that I personally, I found community in like fighting game and Monster Hunter fandoms, like that's gaming. And so to get to the point, I wanted to ask y'all, how exactly are you defining a fandom? Exactly, just for those of us.
I think I was like very lucky to be on Tumblr during the early 2010s when I became very comfortable with being online and just responding to people. I think kind of rubbing off the layer of like, oh, I don't want to talk to people on Instagram or respond to things. If you follow me on Instagram and the algorithm presents me to yourself, you're gonna see I love commenting on Reels. I love commenting on Reels. I think it's fun. I think it's like if someone's posting something that I look like I enjoy, I'm gonna be in the comments. I'm gonna try to be like talking to someone if they have, like honestly I reply to tweets sometimes too, less now, but threads I'll respond to. I think you can learn a lot of things from Reddits or Discords as well, just in terms of finding niche communities there. Like I mentioned very briefly, because I do want to get to the next question, I think from communities IRL, I'm trying to find, like fortunately I live in New York where there's a lot of people with similar interests, but maybe finding a bar, like I know there's a lesbian bar in New York that is playing all of the episodes of The Vampire Lestat from like 1 p.m. until the finale, and it's things like that, like whether you want to orchestrate that yourself at a local like venue or third space, or if you want to do that at your home. And I think sometimes if you can't find it, it is beneficial to bring some friends together, even if they don't share the mutual interest, and create a fandom there.
Okay, my name is Kennedy, by the way. So with fandom culture, you guys already talked about the bad side and how it can get very toxic. And I've been in very popular fandoms just over popular media. I'm sorry, a lot of people like it for a reason. But also people, once you share your interests, people also like to use that information against you. To either bully or just like intimidate you. And so I'm sure many of us in the room have experienced something like that where people have said some weird shit to you just to like pick at you about a fandom or a piece of media that you are very passionate about. So I was wondering if you guys have any advice or tips on just how to cope and navigate through things like that.
Oh, I do. I think that people that are truly happy with themselves and their own lives will never put you down. So if there's anybody around you or in your life putting you down, just keep that in mind. It's outside of you. You're living your life for you. Your interests are your own. And honestly, like the joy and purpose, like for me, of living, it's love. Love the things that you love, whatever it is, whether it's a fandom or a person or like, your interests. Love them fully and wholeheartedly, because at the end of the day, you're doing it all for you. What they have to say does not matter, and I feel like the coolest, like, y'all are the coolest people I have ever met, and I tell y'all this all the time. The coolest people I have ever met have the strangest, most niche interests, and it's like, wow, like my boyfriend, I love him, Magic the Gathering, I did not know what that was before I met him. Strangest game. I'm like, yes, exactly. The coolest people I feel have the most niche interests. So lean into your niche interests, because that's what makes you you and it makes you unique. And you're gonna find spaces like this where you find people that like what you like, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And the people that are hating on you are sitting somewhere on your own on Twitter, sending out tweets, whatever. Do not worry about it. Like, be wholeheartedly yourself.
I also feel like it's been really beneficial, and this is like so journalist of me, but like, oh, they're silencing me. Big AI heard me. I think this is so journalist of me, but honestly, when I find writers that are like prolific in writing about an interest I have, especially if I can find someone that is a Black woman, it is so. Like, it is very, it is so great, I can't even think of a word, but it reminds me that there are ways to also think about this academically, and it's not just like a solo experience to have like, damn, I'm the only like person that, like, Black girl that loves Loki, like, what the fuck is that about? But you know, I'm sure there's a study somewhere, and if not, I would love to get into it for book research about like, why as Black women do we love the anti-hero? Like, is it related to something justice-wise? Is it like, you know, I have to always think deeper, because I feel like we literally all went to the same journalism school, but they're always like, work on your pitch, like dig deeper, like use your brain more, and you know, I'm trying, and when I, you know, think about this in terms of the book, it's like, I keep up to asking, why do we come to fandoms? There will always be more reasons why, because as Black people, we have our experiences invalidated literally from day one in every sector. Like, I'm reading an incredible book about how invalidated we are as Black women when it comes to womb health, and it's been like really transformative in a way that writing the book and thinking about fandoms has been in like oh, this has always been something that was only going to come to me in terms of fandoms, or in terms of like dealing with maybe a chronic illness with my body, and reading that book has me feeling again the same way with fandoms, and like it just takes someone with a similar voice as yours, maybe also an elder, talking to our elders and learning like nerds, like this was not like a 2000s thing, like I'm a 99 baby, so it was not something that just came out in 99, so maybe also trying to find our elders that were also nerds.
My advice, fuck them. Next question.
Kind of an extension from that. Hi, I'm Nani. Tips, advice, thoughts on inviting people into the things that bring you joy? Because I think in lieu of what Kennedy was talking about is when you share that part of yourself and someone has that visceral reaction to, because like I'm a BTS army, notorious fandom. Yeah. Within like metal, Sleep Token, notorious fandom. But I'm like, but if you just listen to me and why I'm having fun, want to come back. Like, yeah. Like trying to invite people into the joy that you experience rather than their assumption that they've already gotten.
Good question. I think this is two parts. So one, gather the best, like the best BTS song, the best episode, whatever it is that you're trying to share with this person, and if they're close to you and they care about you, they should give it a try. The second part of that is just simply that some people aren't gonna like it, and that's not something you should take personally. But I think what matters is that they give it a shot first. Because I've definitely gave some things a shot. I'm like, oh, this is not for me, One Piece, sorry. But I tried it. So, you know, as long as they try, they don't take it personally. I'm not watching 2,000 episodes, nothing, it's fine. But, yeah. As long as they give it a shot, I think that's what matters. But don't take it personally if they don't like it, because some things just are not for everyone.
We got another question back here.
Let's get the portion.
Hi, I'm Morgan. We talked a lot about how like fandom is like transformative and why we come to fandom, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion on because a lot of you said you grew up on fandom, and I also grew up on fandom. Like I was one of those annoying 12-year-olds on Tumblr in 2012. I was lying, and I was like, no, I'm not 12, but I definitely was. And I feel like being on there at such a young age, especially, I would say my original fandoms were like video games, comics, and stuff like that, because those were such male-dominated spaces, and like seeing Loki, the alt-right, all that stuff started like 2009.
Gamergate, literally.
Gamergate. I was like 10, Gamergate happened like So it was like watching that go down and going on Tumblr and like having those young women come and kind of like nurture me and like lead me into like better spaces. So like I wanted to ask about how like fandom improved your even politics and stuff like that. Like being on that.
That's a good question.
Like
This
being
question's
on
so
woke.
Yes. Woke is back. We're bringing woke back. Woke never left in my house. But no, y'all heard me. I always talk about how I'm a socialist. Like I think that if you don't know what socialism is, please look into it. Please look at it from the lens of Black socialists, like the Black Panthers or the Kabahi River Collective. And I think one thing I've learned is like fandoms reminded me that as a Black girl, like girlhood does include learning what racism is at a very young age. And I'll start with Gamergate. I am a gamer. I grew up playing a lot of Nintendo consoles. Like my things were like, you know, Pokemon, like Pokemon was my thing, Animal Crossing, Kirby, all Nintendo titles primarily. And being in that space like always had me feeling good validation of like, oh, I don't know if I'm a real gamer, like I'm just playing Nintendo games, like I don't play FPS or things like that. But you know, now as I've grown and played, like leaned into cozy games, but also still want something a little more challenging, and like journalism wants like more narrative things, it has me looking for games like South of Midnight. And I wrote a really great piece you also check out about South of Midnight for Scalawag magazine, just talking about the Southern Gothic of it all. And I think media like that has been really transformative in thinking like, okay, it was very hard for compulsion games to make that, and for Xbox, and Xbox just laid them off not laid them off, but they've done a lot of layoffs from that evil CEO, and one of the teams, Compulsion, who made South of Midnight, was one of the people that was shuttered. They fortunately got to keep their independent rights and hopefully can make a sequel. But you know, if games like this existed when I was younger, maybe I wouldn't have felt so invalidated. Like I've written about like how skin complexion and hair texture it's really fucked up that like I had to be like grown, honestly, like at least 17 to 19 maybe, whenever games finally started having like Black people. You could choose to be Black in Animal Crossing or Pokemon. And I think like, you know, I would boo them in their face, maybe not in their face, but like I would boo them about that, because it's pretty like it's really kind of traumatizing to deal with racism from chat rooms and things like Minecraft, or like I know you're a Roblox player, and just like in the multiplayer world. I just othered you, sorry. You're a Roblox player. But no, to bring it back to the point is that I feel like there is a lot of politics you're inherently learning when you're a gamer, when you have a marginalized identity. And it's the same thing as I'm watching these film and TV shows, thinking about nostalgic shows like Static Shock, when Static is facing a lot of these like very timeless things like gun violence, gang violence, racism, and just like the hate for bang babies is also very similar to mutants. And you know, it's this allegory of like othering and racism. And when I think about this, it's like, of course I can understand this as a young kid and can understand it now. And yeah, I feel like I wish I could answer this question with 10 more minutes, because I love to talk about how politics are the scheme of these things. But I guess to end it, it is very noticeable that as escapism is becoming more easier to do, or more, you're leaning more into it, it is because people are trying to escape, you know, the very fucked up shit that's happening outside. And like these anti-DEI waves that have taken our jobs from us.
Okay.
Part of the, you know, 300,000, I'm part of 300,000 Black women that have been like laid off. And it's like, when you experience that, like it's very visible in how there's also a lack of young Black girls on screen. Like it makes it, why we have the cheetah girls that, and I don't know, I feel like you can never remove the politics from things like this, and that's why you have like shows like Gen V that I have to criticize, because they're kind of eating their own tail with like the boys being first this like, yeah, we're anti-fascist, and they're like, oh, actually we're gonna like put our fascists in this spin-off show and then cancel our coming of age like woke college student show. So
Trump's America.
Trump's America.
Can I say a 5-word piggyback on that with politics and fandoms?
You have 5 words.
Yes.
When it comes to like fandoms, a lot of times you'll see marginalized people in these communities, and I feel feel like when you gather with people based on interest and not like your actual identity, you get the opportunity to be exposed to different experiences and perspectives that you wouldn't have seen otherwise, because a lot of these people you were not going to meet with in proximity. I don't think any of us live in the same, I don't think any of us live in the same area, you know, like you're going to meet people with different experiences, different lives, different identities because of this common interest. And I feel like fandoms can shape your political views that way as well.
Round of applause for the panel, please.
Thank you all so much for coming. Just like as a reminder, my name is Noella, this is Aolani, and this is Ariane, and we're the Powerpuff Girls. Our Instagrams are linked behind us. If you're curious about my book and anything that you'd like to hear more, just as a book update, I did start querying the book on June 1st. Querying is the process that starts with, thank you so much. It's so scary, so please, when you pray or think about things in the universe, think of me in my book, please. Because the query process is like I'm essentially looking for an agent right now, and that will lead up to a book deal. And in the nonfiction world, I don't have to give and write all of the book at first. So as I am writing the book in some chapters, I'll be publishing it on my newsletter, which is what's linked here. Feel free to come up here and have questions or say hi if y'all would like to. I don't think they're going to kick us out because it's 9 p.m. And I would also love it to take down anyone's email if you're maybe interested in telling me about your DreamCon experience that I could use for book research, and we can talk more.
And another, I'm beginning to work on the podcast with Therapy for Black Girls, so if any of you have like a platform that you would like to share with me, something you feel might be useful for the podcast or could possibly be guest featured on the podcast, let me know and I'll get your information. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you guys.
Everybody spread it! You don't do that for Twitch? Everybody spread it! Ah!